Hello guys, welcome to another GizChina Germany review. This time it's all about the Oppo R7. Now recently Oppo celebrated their 10th anniversary, and for this reason they introduced the successor of the Oppo R5, which for a short time was the world's thinnest phone. Now actually they learned quite a lot from the Oppo R5 and their mistakes they did. The phone, well, it was thin, it looked nice, but it was pretty much unusable because they made too many compromises to get the amazing thickness of only 4.75 millimeters. So with the Oppo R7 and R7 Plus, they take everything they learned from the R5 and try to do better. Now the Oppo R7 is the smaller version of the two phones and basically the direct successor of the Oppo R5. It's up for pre-order already and will ship sometimes in early July, but I already got one review sample from oppo/oppostyle.com, which I'm very thankful for, and I've been able to test it for over a week now and want to tell you my experience with this device. So let's first talk about the specs. The Oppo R7 is a 5-inch phone, so the screen got a little smaller compared to the Oppo R5. And it still comes with a Super AMOLED display, so it's an OLED panel with 1080p resolution. We still have the Snapdragon 615 SoC inside, which is an octa-core 64-bit SoC competing with the MediaTek MT6752 chipset. We have 3 GB of RAM compared to the 2 GB in the predecessor, and well, we have dual SIM LTE support, 16 GB of internal memory with microSD expansion thanks to the combo SIM slot. We have a 2320 mAh battery, which is a bit larger, and we also have a 13 megapixel Samsung ISOCELL camera on the rear. Well, the phone got slightly thicker because it got a smaller screen and a larger battery, but it's still extremely thin at only 6.3 millimeters. So let's get right into the review. What you see in front of the camera are the accessories I got with the phone. Now that's not the complete accessory kit you usually get with Oppo phones, simply because this is a pre-production sample, so I didn't get the retail packaging, I didn't get the Oppo in-ear headphones and so on. I only got the VOOC 4 ampere charger, a VOOC cable, and the Oppo R7 itself. If you pre-order right now, you also qualify to get a free pair of Bluetooth headphones by Oppo. Those are on-ear and pretty much high-end, so definitely a good deal. The pricing for a pre-order is $399 US. So let's have a closer look at the design of the Oppo R7. And one of the most amazing parts about this phone is that it's almost entirely made from metal. This is a unibody metal housing consisting of metal for about 92%, and that's pretty good, I think. The only plastic pieces we find here is the frame around the screen and those little plastic covers here on the rear, which contain the antennas, so you have a good reception quality despite all the metal. As I said, it's extremely thin, only 6.3 millimeters. That's still amazing, even though the Oppo R5 was much thinner, but still, it's amazing, and I'm very impressed by the build quality. It just feels insanely nice inside my hands. Very silky thanks to the rounded corners here and the 2.5D curved glass. And also, it's extremely sturdy. There is no way bending that phone, no matter how much force I apply. Even if I do it with lots of force, it doesn't bend. I really would like to know how Oppo did that, but this phone is extremely sturdy for its thickness. Really amazing in my opinion. Now, another thing that has been improved compared to the Oppo R5 is that the camera doesn't stand out that much anymore. As you can see, it's probably like half a millimeter or so you actually almost can't feel it. And we also have a full-blown 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, which was missing with the Oppo R5. There are a few reasons to complain, though. First of all, the material can be a little complicated in case you have dry hands. If you have very dry hands, it doesn't have much grip and it easily slips out of your hands. You need to be careful with that. Another thing that could be a little better is the pressure point of the home button. You can press it way too easy. It happened frequently to me that I enabled the phone by accident. That's, well, not so nice for a phone priced at 399 bucks. But anyway, Oppo has some software side failsafe implemented, so in case it is in your pocket and you enable it, you can't unlock it because it recognizes that it is in a pocket. Another thing I dislike a bit is that the home buttons are just coated with a reflective material and not back illuminated, and also the status LED, which is placed on the top left corner here, doesn't support multiple colors, so it actually does just light up in white, so you can't set different colors for different applications, which is a bit sad. So the next thing I want to talk about is the display. As I mentioned, it's a 5-inch Full HD Super AMOLED display, and well, that means that every single pixel or sub-pixel is a LED. This means that it doesn't need any back illumination, which makes the panel thinner, it makes it brighter, and obviously the LEDs just look much better in terms of colors and offer a much better contrast than LCD panels, greatly improving outdoor readability. So the screen really is amazing, it really looks very nice, and the only flaws are that you have a slight bluish tint from extreme viewing angles, and well, sometimes white fonts look, well, kinda colorful on the outlines. That's an effect you have on many Super AMOLED displays. You get used to it, nothing to worry about actually. What I also like very much is the touchscreen. It's extremely smooth. You don't feel any breaking of your finger when sliding it across the panel, which is really, really nice in my opinion. Definitely one of the smoothest screens I've ever experienced on a Chinese phone to date. Really nice, and it's also very snappy. There is no input lag at all. Yeah, it just responds very nicely. Pleasure to use, I love it. Now another thing we have to talk about is hardware. As I mentioned already, we have a Snapdragon 615 inside of there with 1.5 GHz, or actually it has 4 cores clocked at 1 GHz and 4 more cores clocked at 1.5 GHz. It's based on the ARM Cortex A53 architecture like the MediaTek MT6752, and we also have 3 GB of RAM and 16 GB of internal memory inside of there. Now performance-wise, at the first look, the Snapdragon 615 is pretty much on par with the MediaTek MT6752, but I say at the first look because actually it is much slower depending on what you do. So let me just explain something. The Snapdragon 615 is supposed to be very energy efficient due to the different cores we have inside of there with the different CPU clocks. But in reality, it doesn't make much sense to, well, use an architecture similar to the big dot little architecture, but with the same core architecture. So usually you would do 4 A53 cores and 4 A57 cores. Now with only A53 cores, that doesn't make much sense, and they would have done better to use well, 8 cores with the same clock, like MediaTek does it. But, well, the way bigger issue with the Snapdragon 615 is that Qualcomm completely sucks at processor management with their 64-bit cores. Just look at the idle load here. We have pretty much all processor cores running. If I scroll around here, we have all running. So, as you can see, that's pretty energy inefficient. If you compare that to the MediaTek MT6752 in idle mode, this one only runs about 1 to 2 cores. Now that actually means that you need more energy in idle mode and you create more heat in idle mode than with a MediaTek SoC. Now that's an issue because this phone is so thin. So if you now put load on the SoC, run heavy applications, multitasking, or heavy games, the chipset will heat up much faster again. It will again run all cores and at the maximum frequency. If you compare that to the MediaTek MT6752, thanks to Core Pilot, this SoC will only use a few cores, like 4 to 6 cores at a time, and it will disable at least 2 cores, and also it will run at variable frequencies. Now if one core runs hot, it will simply disable this specific core and move the task of this core to another core that has been disabled before, and this is cool. Now by doing that, you can actually reduce heat and well, still stay energy efficient and ensure a high performance, because you don't have to clock the processor down. Now with the Snapdragon 615, it doesn't do that. It runs all cores at maximum frequency if you play a game, for example, and when it reaches a critical temperature, which is about 50 to 60 degrees, and that actually happens within 10 minutes if you play a 3D game, it will simply clock down instead of disabling cores and stuff like the MediaTek SoC does. And this means that you get a massive performance cut down with the Snapdragon 615, which actually can be so worse that 3D games become unplayable. I've noticed that with a 3D demanding games, for example Real Racing 3 or Nova 3. Both of those games sometimes become so sluggish it's more of a slideshow than a smooth gaming experience. So actually processor management sucks, and there's still some overheating issue going on here due to the low thickness of the device. So, well, I would have liked if Qualcomm recently did something about the processor management, or if Oppo would have implemented some similar technology to MediaTek's Core Pilot, because Core Pilot simply works outstandingly well these days, and it really is a huge benefit, and this is why the MediaTek chipsets perform so good while the Snapdragon 615 stays way behind. There is a lot of potential in this chipset, but it simply gets wasted. So why didn't Oppo use a MediaTek chipset? Well, I don't know. I can only guess it's for marketing reasons. As a matter of fact, Qualcomm-based phones simply perform better these days in terms of sales, because people still think that Qualcomm chipsets are the best out there. Well, MediaTek got really good. They have been bad in the past, but nowadays they are really good. And unfortunately, this didn't arrive in the minds of people yet. So they will still prefer Qualcomm chipsets, even though MediaTek outperformed them. So that's probably the reason why Oppo still went for a Qualcomm chipset this time. So in the end, I don't want to say the performance is bad. It's not bad at all, but it definitely could be better. And if you are into gaming, the Oppo R7 surely isn't for you, because of the performance issues you get when the chipset heats up. So we finished the hardware part. Let's talk about software. The Oppo R7 is running the latest version of Oppo's ColorOS custom ROM, which is version 2.1. Now, unfortunately, it's still based on Android 4.4 KitKat. Probably some Lollipop update will arrive later on, but currently it's shipped with KitKat, and that's a pity in my opinion, because, well, it's kind of a no-go these days. If you buy a new phone, you want to get Lollipop, period. Well, it doesn't even support 64-bit right now with the KitKat on there. Anyway, I like ColorOS 2.1. I didn't like the previous version of ColorOS. ColorOS doesn't have much fans because it looked ugly in the past. Well, I agree with that. But now they switched the design. It got more flat. It looks a lot more beautiful while still retaining the old ColorOS experience. They cut down with bloatware. We still have a few applications on there, like a security center and the very nice weather application, but there isn't nearly as much bloatware on there as it used to be. And they also improved animations. They cut down a little, made it more simple, but increased performance at the same time, and memory efficiency and all that stuff. So it's a really nice ROM. I really like it. I start to love ColorOS actually. The only thing which they still need to fix is the settings application, which is a big no-no for me. Now, the basic idea of creating categories here for different settings is very nice, but still I have a hard time finding my way through the settings application, since well, some settings aren't where you expect them to be, and well, there are a lot of settings available and they aren't structured all that good, so they really need to improve that to get a perfect user experience. But all in all, I really like the new ColorOS UI, and well, I hope Oppo will keep improving it. Regarding bugs, I wasn't able to find anything significant. The only thing which I noticed is that if you listen to music here and get some notification, the volume will suddenly pop up to 100%, and if you press the volume rocker one time, you will suddenly be on your previous volume setting again. So that's obviously some bug and really annoying, especially if you're listening to music with headphones, because it can destroy your ear potentially if it goes to 100% suddenly. Anyway, that probably will be fixed with the final product. I don't know if the ROM is completely ready right now. Well, talking about audio, we reach audio. How is the internal speaker sounding? Well, actually, I like it. It's really loud. Has a lot of bass for how thin this device is. It's really impressive how Oppo have been able to implement such a nice speaker inside of there. Now, it's actually not that surprising because Oppo is known for extraordinary audio quality. Just look at the Oppo Find 7, which sounds insane thanks to Max Audio. And that's the case here as well. It doesn't live up to the Oppo Find 7, obviously. Doesn't even have stereo speakers. But anyway, you can listen to music with the internal speaker, which obviously isn't the case with with any Chinese phone out there. The headphone jack also sounds decent. No background noises, everything very nice and balanced and clear. I love it. What also satisfied me is the audio quality during phone calls. It has a pretty good noise cancellation thanks to a dedicated microphone for that. And also the audio quality is very clear. No trouble understanding people. It's really nice to do phone calls on this, definitely on high-end level and just like it should be. Talking about phone calls, we reach reception quality, and here I also have nothing to complain about. Oppo really ensured that the metal body isn't limiting reception quality. Reception quality is on a very high level, no matter which signal we're talking about, 2G, 3G, 4G, it all works very nice, but there is one flaw. LTE, FDD LTE isn't supported with band 20 at 800 MHz, which can be an issue, especially within Europe, where lots of carriers outside of the big cities don't use 800 MHz FDD LTE or band 20, so you actually can't use them. But anyway, that's not a big issue for everyone because not anyone needs LTE these days. It's too expensive, and the traffic limitations just make it pretty much useless in my opinion, so who cares? Wi-Fi is also working extraordinary well, no problems here. GPS is also very, very, very good. Let me just show you one GPS test I did. This fix was done within a few seconds, like 3 seconds or so. 17 satellites fixed, accuracy of 3 meters. Now, is it better than a MediaTek chipset? Well, I don't think so. It is faster with the fixes and with the amount of satellites than some MediaTek chips, but the current 64-bit MediaTek chips don't perform bad at all. And actually, the MediaTek chipsets get a higher accuracy with a less amount of satellites. So actually, I would say they are on par. It's not all about fixed times and the amount of satellites. What counts in real life is the performance during navigation and tracking, and Qualcomm and MediaTek are on par today, at least if the antenna inside the phone is good. So, well, it doesn't make much sense telling that MediaTek would be worse these days. So the next thing to talk about is camera, and I've been a little disappointed here this time because you expect a very good camera at a phone that is that expensive. Now, basically, Oppo does advertise a very good camera, claiming the phone uses a Samsung ISOCELL 13 megapixel sensor with some special software optimizations, but actually the camera sucks for a phone priced at $399. The sharpness of the pictures just isn't that good. The colors are quite okay, but it does have issues with white objects, lack of contrast and so on. In general, it sometimes lacks a bit of contrast. It also has some issues with the focus. If you want to focus small objects, you often have issues focusing the right one. the focus is quite fast, but it sometimes sucks. And the low light performance isn't all that good either. I never managed to create a sharp image in low light, and also with the flash, even though it's very bright, no chance doing so. The video quality is pretty much okay, audio quality is okay, but also not perfect in my opinion. The front camera is pretty good, though also not on high-end level. You can do selfies with it, but not with an outstanding quality. So all in all, the camera isn't that good inside the Oppo R7. I don't say it's bad, but for the price tag, it's, well, it didn't satisfy me. I didn't have much fun with it, and I wished it would be better. So that's about the camera. What about the battery? Well, inside such a thin device, you can't put in a huge battery. That's obviously not the case, but they managed to squeeze in a larger cell compared to the Oppo R5, which had a very, very bad battery life. Now, did it improve with the 2320 milliamp cell inside of there? Well, certainly it did. I am a power user and I get through the day if I limit myself a little bit. I don't like limiting myself, but if it's just a little bit, I can certainly live with it. So battery life could actually be better, but it's okay. It's perfectly acceptable, but you won't get more than 1 day out of it. That's a fact. Luckily, the phone does support VOOC quick charging, and that means that you get a full battery within 1 hour and 15 minutes, meaning charging from 20 to 100%. So that's about 2% per minute until 75%, and then it will get a little slower. Also, if you want to do an emergency phone call, it's enough if you charge the phone for 5 minutes and you will get 2 hours of phone calls out of the battery again. That's pretty insane. But, and that's a big but, fast charging isn't good for the battery cells. I see that with the Oppo Find 7. The Oppo Find 7 is now about 1 year old, or the Oppo Find 7 I own, and already the battery is about to die. It doesn't last as long anymore as it did initially. It lasts about half a day, not longer anymore. So it's pretty much on the way to death. And that's obviously caused by fast charging, because other phones' batteries last way longer with normal charging technologies. Now actually, that's no problem with the Oppo Find 7 at all. You simply buy a new battery for around 12 bucks and put it in and it works again. But with the Oppo R7, that's not possible. You can't replace the battery. Plus, the battery doesn't last as long with one single charge as it did with the Oppo R7, which means you eat up more battery cycles. And that means the battery will eventually die faster than with the Oppo Find 7. And that could be within 6 months, within 8 months. I'm not sure if it will last 1 year. Anyway, if it does, it's great, but after this, the phone will be dead. And again, the phone is priced at 399 bucks. That's not a low amount of money. That's very much money, actually. And, well, if it dies because the battery is dead after such a short time, that's really not good. And I'm not sure how much it costs to replace the battery, or if that is even possible. I'm pretty sure it's not covered by the warranty, because batteries are usually parts that aren't covered by the warranty. Anyway, I'm not exactly sure if fast charging is something you want to get inside a phone this thin and that has a non-replaceable battery. In my opinion, it would have been better if they would have left VOOC outside, just to make sure the battery will live longer. But in the end, you have to decide if you want that or if you don't. So that's it for the review. We reached the final conclusion part. Well, there's no doubt the Oppo R7 is a very beautiful, elegant and good phone. But in my opinion, it's not suitable for everyone, simply because it's more built for people who love design, who pay much attention to design, and of course for Oppo fanboys and fangirls. I don't think it offers anything that would make me say, oh wow, I want to have this thing. And to be honest with you, the performance and the camera quality isn't quite what I expect at a phone priced at $399. That's a fact. And in addition to that, VOOC is a reason to worry for me. As insane as VOOC is, charging a battery that fast, you can't deny that it is damaging the batteries, and it will limit the lifespan of the battery and thus the phone, because the battery is not replaceable. So that's a problem as well. So in the end, I would say the Oppo R7 is, at least in this small version, a pure fan object. It's not a phone that you buy because of its specs, its performance, its camera. It's a phone that you buy for the design and because it comes from Oppo, in case you are a Oppo fan. It can't be a phone that you buy because of its specs. It's simply too expensive for that and doesn't offer enough, in my opinion. And while you still notice that the thin body comes with certain limitations that are quite noticeable in everyday's life. So in the end, you have to decide if you want to buy that or if you don't. I can't decide about it. I can just tell you my point of view on that. Well, I for myself am now excited to get the Oppo R7 Plus, which probably will be much better because it's bigger, has much space, a little bit better specs. I'm really excited to get this one. But that's for the Oppo R7 review for now. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it was helpful for you. If it was, please leave a thumbs up. If there are any questions left, please drop them in the comments, and I will try to respond to you as soon as possible. If you like in general what we are doing at GizChina Germany, make sure to follow us here on YouTube, Facebook, Google+, and of course, Twitter. That's it for the review. I say thanks for watching the video. You will now receive a performance demo. Bye bye, over and out.
Don't try this yourself. It's extremely dangerous.